Rehan Ahmed facing visa issues and being temporarily barred from entering India upon England's arrival from UAE raised a bit of a deja vu kind of sentiment among many. After all, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that another Pakistan origin player from England, that is of course Shoaib Bashir, faced a similar issue and even had to miss the first test match as a result. However, the Rehan Ahmed issue was different in many ways. For one, it was sorted out rather quickly because the Rajkot authorities thought on their feet and ensured that a solution was brought about quickly there and thereabout rather than dragging the issue on any further. For the other, this time there is pretty clear evidence that it wasn't in fact anything that was down to the Indian authorities being overly, let's say, bound by red tapeism. This time around, there is ample evidence to suggest that it was in fact a fault that lay squarely at the feet of the England and Wales Cricket Board. How exactly is that the case? Well, we'll get to that in just a bit. But first, let's look at what exactly the original issue is. Then we'll look at how it is that the ECB reacted to it, as well as a story from another player who incidentally it's now coming to light, also faced a visa issue, and shock horror, he wasn't a player of Pakistan or even Asian origin. We'll get to all of that in just a bit. But first, let's look at the main issue that cropped up this time around. Now, you'd remember that England had flown out to the UAE, and therefore they were always going to be flying back to India again ahead of, let's say, the third test. But Rehan Ahmed was temporarily barred from re-entering India. He was in fact told in no uncertain terms that the visa that he held, it was a single entry visa. So that meant that he had already entered once and exited, which meant that this time around he'd need to apply for a fresh visa. Luckily, the issue was sorted pretty easily, and the Rajkot authorities, I have to give credit, did think on their feet, came up with another simple solution, the solution which we'll get to in just a bit. But the good news is that there's no real hold up when it comes to Rehan. He's going to be training with the England team. He will be available for selection, so it's nothing as bad as what the Shoaib Bashir issue was, wherein he had to miss out on the first test. He flew in the middle of it. Rehan is going to be available for selection. He will be able to practice, and the ECB themselves have admitted that there were a few issues on their behalf that led to Rehan Ahmed not being able to initially re-enter India. What exactly did they say? Well, it's pretty simple. They said in a statement that we were advised on returning to India that there was paperwork discrepancy with Rehan Ahmed's visa. The local authorities at Rajkot Airport were supportive, enabling Rehan entry on a temporary visa. That is the real clincher here. The ECB have said in no uncertain terms that there was a paperwork discrepancy, and B, the Rajkot Airport authorities thought on their feet and ensured that he was issued a temporary visa to enter the country once again. Great job, well done. This is exactly what it is that should be done in such circumstances, because again, Rehan Ahmed is not just some random person. We know who he is. He's part of the England team, and therefore there shouldn't have been much of a hold up. Of course, if the Rajkot authorities had to take the old red tape way, they would have said, no, sorry, nothing doing. The Rajkot authorities did issue him a temporary visa and said this will do, it will let him stay in the country as long as and until the point that the new visa is issued. That's another thing that the ECB mentioned in a statement. They said that the correct visa should be processed and issued in the coming days. He will continue to prepare with the rest of the squad ahead of the third test. So again, what could have been a pretty big controversy was pretty much doused when the fire was really starting to, let's say, catch on. No real controversy. Rehan was given a temporary visa, and as the ECB even said, he will be training with the side and therefore will be available with the squad for selection for the third test, and there's no reason to believe that he won't be in the playing 11. Now, when the Shoaib Bashir issue cropped up, a lot of us were pretty critical even of the fact that the Indian authorities were, let's say, a little bound by convention and sticking to their processes, even though it flew in the face of common sense. Now, on one hand, there's nothing wrong whatsoever with sticking to your due diligence and ensuring that it is done. However, when it comes to high-profile cases like this, sometimes you need to ensure that the wheels are greased just a little bit and that there isn't much of a hold-up, because again, it can cause issues. This time around now, it is becoming pretty clear that the ECB are at least, if not multiple time offenders in this case, because there's of course Rehan's case where they admitted there was a paperwork discrepancy. But there was another high-profile case that is only just coming to light, and that involves, of all people, Ollie Robinson. Heard that right. Ollie Robinson almost did not fly out to India for the first test, which you'd remember was in Hyderabad, because there was an issue with his visa as well. He revealed it recently on his podcast, Chatting Balls, and this is exactly what he said. He said that there was an error at the ECB's end. I think they must have just put an initial wrong, or one letter must have been wrong, but the visa application didn't pass. In fact, Robinson said very clearly that the England team manager told me in no uncertain terms that, listen, your visa hasn't been processed, you're not going to be able to fly in time for the first test. And he was told this on the eve of their departure to India. Obviously, Robinson was pretty nervous about the entire ordeal, but the next morning, the team manager informed him, no issues, your visa has been sorted. So what this tells you is that the Rehan Ahmed issue could have been very easily avoided had the ECB done their due diligence, done their homework. If they had ensured that they had followed the correct processes, there would have been no issue whatsoever. The only reason Rehan wasn't allowed re-entry is because, correctly, according to protocol, he was issued a single entry visa, and that single entry visa expired as soon as he exited the country. Luckily, Rajkot authorities ensured that he was issued a temporary visa whilst the new visa was being worked on, and the news reports are saying that it will be processed in a day at max 2, and there will be no issues whatsoever for Rehan Ahmed at that point in time. He should be able to train with the side, be available for selection. All of that is fine, but the ECB themselves perhaps need to take a bit of a look and ensure that such errors don't happen, because again, the Shoaib Bashir thing was still kind of understandable, the Rehan Ahmed case less so, and even less so in the case of Ollie Robinson, wherein previously you could at least say that there was a smoking gun that Rehan and Shoaib are a Pakistani origin. Ollie Robinson is very much English. He's, there's no links whatsoever to any other nation. There's no major problems. It was just a clerical error, and a clerical error was in fact to blame for even Rehan Ahmed not being able to enter at first. So the ECB perhaps need to be a little careful to ensure that more such issues don't crop up in the future. Of course, it perhaps won't, considering there's not going to be any more breaks for them. They're here now for the remainder of the tour, hopefully, and you hear of no such stories happen again. Now, what are your thoughts on the ECB's rather bad bungle that ensured that Rehan Ahmed's issue as well could have potentially become big were it not for some quick thinking? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and tap that bell icon as well. Also, go ahead, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget to download the SportsTak app, and if you're already on the channel, well, then go right ahead, check out some other videos we've uploaded as well. But now from my side, it's goodbye.